Welcome everybody out. Today we're going to talk about Brooks's Law. Isn't that Brooks? That's how you say it, right, Felipe?
That's right, Jason. Brooks's Law.
Okay. All right. Well, we have Felipe Engineer here with us. We're not in the airport. If anybody was annoyed yesterday, I apologize. However,
if you get annoyed, put a like on the podcast so that Jason knows that you were annoyed. So just give it a thumbs up and we'll know.
Yeah, just give me a positive comment. That way we'll know about it. Anyway, welcome, Felipe, to the show today.
Thank you, Jason. It's good to be on the show. Back-to-back shows. Oh, man, that's just a treasure in of itself.
I agree. Okay, stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Well, welcome everybody. I hope you're doing well. Like we said, we're going to talk about Brooks's Law today. So Felipe, interesting story. I was on LinkedIn being immature. There was a person that made a comment, and I was being kind of a snowflake. I was talking about the production laws, or at least what I understood about them, and Felipe was talking about Brooks's Law, which is what we're going to talk about today. And Home Dude, the person that made a comment on the post, was so mean that I blocked him, and this shows you how good of a character Felipe has. Felipe called him and had a 2.5-hour discussion mending bridges.
On a Friday night.
Anytime somebody trolls us on LinkedIn, I always know Felipe's going to call him and build bridges. He's got a talent for that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'll skip kind of all the scaffolding as we go forward here. I will mention one bit of feedback. So this was for elevating construction superintendents, and this is what they said. Raising the bar towards excellence. Did you write this one?
No.
Okay, all right. This is one of my favorite construction books of all time. The principles laid out in Jason Schroeder's work will serve anyone in the design and construction industry.
Oh, I did write this one.
Okay, do I need to cut this one? Okay, let me go to a different one. Hold on. That you can't.
Because I mentioned Dale Carnegie. That's mine.
Okay, yeah, that was okay. Here we go. Here's a different quote. A book you read more than once. Great ideas in here and strong support for doing things the right way. If you're reading this, it's because you're already well-intentioned. This book will give you the confidence and encouragement to keep on that track, and great ideas for how to improve and implement. So there you go. So let's get right into the podcast today. So you had replied with a comment for Brooks's Law. Do you mind giving us an introduction, Felipe?
Sure. Brooks's Law states, and it comes from software. It was made popular if you want to read a book, optional. It's called The Mythical Man Month. And Brooks was a gentleman working in software development for, I believe, IBM. And they found that on thousands of IBM projects, whenever a project was deemed behind schedule based on the critical path method schedule, Jason's favorite CPM schedule. There's Jason's first trigger of the joke. They found that the data didn't support that adding more people or spending overtime would actually make the project finish earlier. And we saw this in software development, and then later, this was brought to my attention by Jeff Sutherland when I was learning about Scrum earlier in my career. I saw the same corollaries in design and construction. I've seen this in construction projects as well as design projects and engineering projects. We see the same to be the case. The go-to project management reaction is to add more people, spend some overtime.
Yep.
And if it's done on a short term, I'm talking short term, less than 2 weeks, you can make some gains, but typically that's not the case of what happens. And long sustained overtime or adding additional people, manpower up and down, is detrimental to the project.
I like that. So I first got there's actually, it's funny that, well, I won't even mention it, but there's some organizations that force people into overtime, the same people that have done the studies that show the longest, absolute most you can do overtime is 9 weeks before you have exponential, maybe not exponential, yeah, it's more exponential than linear drop in productivity. So 80, it's 65, that goes
Right.
way down. So I love that point. But Felipe, what are some of the reasons that adding more people at a project doesn't help out. Are there any specifics you can talk about?
There's definitely, the big one is communication channels. So as you add more people, management sometimes will make the assumption that people can just be added to the project, plug and play, and can hit the job running, when in reality, there's an onboarding process that does or does not happen with some kind of success. That onboarding process requires teams to communicate what the project is to get the new people added in, what is the details of the job so they can build some context. That onboarding, or what people colloquially call the learning curve. The learning curve is when people coming to a new project work, get acclimated, and then get up to speed, where they get equal to the production level of the on-site crews or designers already there. So that communication channel, if you want to nerd out the formula, Jason, I've got it memorized.
Go ahead.
It's n times the quantity, n minus 1 divided by 2. And it's an exponential type of equation. So Jason and I are talking right now. There exists one single communication channel between us. As we get more, and even we get to 10 people, those channels go up and it gets into the hundreds. By the time you have 10 people you're trying to share information with, Jason, you're somewhere north of 300 communication channels. So if we had one more person, there's 3 people, there are 2 channels. For any given time, one person speaks, 2 people listen.
I remember that. So let's plug it in. So can we take 10 into the formula? What was the formula again? So the numbers are
I'm
10.
getting my calculator out. So if we did 10 minus 1 is 9.
Okay.
N times n minus 1. So it's 9. 9 times 10 is 90 divided by 2. Oh, that's 45 people.
Yeah.
And then it starts to rise up.
So for 10 people, there's 45 communication channels?
Right.
So basically, so if everybody on the podcast is visualizing a graph, and you say, all right, one person, well, that's not really a team, but one person, 2 persons, 3, 4, and you're graphing that on a coordinate geometry graph, right? And that's a linear trend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But if you look at it from the communication channel standpoint, I think you said total communication channels, aside from one person speaking, is if you have 3 people, you have 3 total, right? If you have
No, you have 3 people.
2?
You have 2 total.
So then if you have 4, you have 5.
Right. And that starts to jump.
And then it starts. So then it goes 5.
No, 4 people ends up being 10 channels.
Okay.
Yeah, see now it's now jumping exponentially. So 5 people, 5 times 4 is 20 divided by 2, that's 10.
10. Okay.
And let's jump to 8 people.
8 people. Okay.
8 times 7 is 56, divided by 2 is 28. So we went from 10 to 28, just adding 2 more people.
So on that graph, so you imagine that linear line, right? Diagonally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you look at this exponential curve for the communication channels.
Yeah, so think about this, like on a regular project site, even like a $20 million job, you can easily have 200 construction workers and management staff. That's 19,900 communication channels for just 200 people on a single project.
Yeah, I agree. So so there are exceptions to this, right? There, if you break, like you do in Scrum, right? If you have large teams and you break them into Scrum teams and you scale with Scrum of Scrums, depending on the task type, the capacity of people to be in a specific area working on one function. So there are small exceptions, but for the most part, the concept of work overtime, bring more people isn't how would we say that?
Not a long-term sustainable solution.
Yeah, I love that. Long-term sustainable. So you said, so onboarding, communication, the complexity of communication. Can you talk to me about context switching?
Yes. So context switching is a phenomenon with how human consciousness works. And it says that if you get interrupted, if you're doing a single task and you're working, you are at productivity. Let's just assume your productivity is 100%. You're focused on task, and that's all you're doing. If I interrupt you, or you get interrupted by something like a text message on your phone, then all of a sudden you have to stop, you read the message. If someone sends you a long message like Jason Schroeder, he might send you a long text message that requires maybe a voicemail or a phone call or a voice text back, and then you go back into your work, you're going to lose 20% of your time just switching back to the task at hand. So you want to play a joke on somebody to see how true this is. interrupt somebody writing an email. And then when you finish interrupting them, time in your head how long it takes them to get back to writing, depending on the length of the interruption and what type of thing, especially if you're talking about something on a project site where they mentally shift into mind in the job site, then they'll spend 20% of that interruption switching back after you're done talking to get back into the email. Just watch their fingers on the keyboard and you'll see the delay before they start typing again. It's phenomenal. It gets worse, Jason. Like the more you multitask, the slower you get. And multitasking also decreases your IQ temporarily.
That's interesting. There are so many people that tell me they can multitask, and I'm like, it happens so often, I almost just let it go. One thing here, so when you said it gets worse, there was something else said that it happens I don't know if it said quite a bit more, but at the end of projects, when I was researching just a little bit from Brooks's Law, that they noticed this at the end of the project in a dramatic way. And so that brings me to the construction projects. Usually we start to add manpower at the end, right? And all we're doing, what you're saying is extending the overall project duration.
Right, and Jason, a good evidence of this, like we say in construction, is it done? And it depends on your definition of done. Is the construction project done when the owner takes substantial occupancy? Or is it done when the last construction worker doing punch list items leaves the site?
Yeah.
And if you look at that, then you'll see like there's a really huge lag for when the construction as-built schedule says we achieve substantial completion or beneficial occupancy or certificate of occupancy or whatever you call it in where you live versus the last worker out and they're operating the building without the contractors.
It's a big difference.
It's a big difference.
Because sometimes people go in and take additional manpower to put in shoddy work just to have to fix it later so they can just get signed off. And I'm like not a fan.
I'm not a fan of that either. I'm a fan of doing it once right the first time. If you have to rework something, we know that it takes 25 times longer. It can take 25 times longer to fix something the second time, to correct a defect. And you do it after the fact versus fixing it at the time that it's noticed. That's why if you do any kind of punch list stuff, if you look at any single punch list activity and said, like, when we were here doing that work, what would it take to fix versus a remobilization back and then fixing it? It's 4 times to 25 times more effort to fix it when it shows up on a punch list.
That's outstanding. That's like overwhelming.
It's not outstanding. It's sad.
No, overwhelming to think about.
Right.
There was an O in there somewhere.
And people never put enough money in their contract for that type of stuff. Yeah, accidents do happen, but if you listen to what Jason says with tact and finish as you go,
Cha-ching.
you can get through the project with minimal punch list.
So then that brings us to, what do we do? So when our project starts to, and this is, you just mentioned it, you can optimize the project with smaller batch sizes, limiting work in process, finishing as you go, quality at the source, right? I totally believe in those things. And, there was, not to get too scientific, but Hal Macomer told me to look at Kingman's formula. And basically it said the cycle time of any given process, so in this case the trades, multiplied by its capacity utilization, multiplied by the effects of variation, is your overall duration. So if we thought something in a week was 5 days, the electrician can do overhead in a 3,000 square foot area in 5 days. Well, that's only if they're at 100% capacity with no variation, right? And so I think what we're saying here as well, okay, let's take your first comment, 5-day duration for those electricians, okay? With overtime, you're at 60, you're working too much overtime, you go down to 60%. So 5 days multiplied by or divided by 0.60. What is that divided by 0.60? 8.33 days, right? And then you add in variation in the overall process, which comes in with the context switching, the increase of complexity and communication and everything else. And now you've probably gone from 8.33 to like 9 or 10. So that Kingman's formula really proves Brooks's law. And I really think it's a neat concept, and I'm glad to know it. So, Felipe, what are your closing comments? Any advice for anybody as we close this out?
Yeah, the words of advice are fret not if you're getting behind, there are things that you can absolutely do. And the answer is not just throw more people at it.
I agree. Well, Felipe, thank you we got to get this right. So on the count of 3, we'll say on we go. But reach out to us if you need any help. And that is what we do when we start to get in trouble is we stabilize the project so that we can optimize it. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3,
On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.